We are recording.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Michael Malloy from Sandy Plains Chiropractic Clinic, and
I'm Dr. Brendan Malloy from Sandy Plains.
Okay. So today we're going to cover three things that we feel are really important. We want to reconnect with our patients and families and friends. So we want to go over three really important issues. So the first one is going to be on how to safely use procedures for this virus. And that's going to be most of this video. The second one is going to be how to use some of the supplements properly in terms of increasing your health. And the third one is going to be some of the stretching that we've advocated in the past. And we're going to talk about that in terms of alleviating some of the neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches, low back pain, because a lot of us are not exercising the way that we had been. So with that in mind, we're going to start off with the procedures that the CDC is promoting and how to use them properly, because some people are still ignoring them or just not understanding them. So I'm going to start with the simple part of going out to get the mail. And this still, in the neighborhood, I still see people opening the mailbox barehanded, grabbing the mail, going in the house, and sorting the mail in the house. There's a better way to do it. You could be using gloves to open the mailbox, grab the mail. For those of you that have a garage, I've taken part of my garage, put a table there that I keep disinfected. I put all the mail on the table and I spray it with a disinfectant. And I spray both sides, and I don't go back to that mail if I don't have to until the following day. And then I will go ahead and open it at that time, leaving the envelopes in the garage and the garbage. And what mail I need, I will bring in the house at that point. Cardboard boxes never come in the house. I spray them outside. I leave them outside overnight. And I may open up the next day, or I may open them up 48 hours later. But the cardboard does not come into the house. Depending on what's in the cardboard box, I may disinfect that also, and let that sit in the garage on the disinfected table, and I may not touch that for a day. So I'm taking this very seriously in terms of disinfecting everything that comes to the house. The food that comes to the house that's being delivered, we're treating it in a similar way, that we're taking the food out of the bags outside, we're taking the food inside, and we're letting the food soak in very warm water, soapy water, for at least 10 minutes in hot, soapy water. Rinse it well, and then use the food the way that you would. But please think about cleansing your food also. So with those 2 or 3 things in mind, these are some good procedures on this. Dr. Brendan's going to talk about the use of the mask, because there is misunderstanding about, do we need the mask? Do we not need the mask? Can we make ourselves worse by wearing a mask? And that's misinformation. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that and clear it up. Dr. B?
Okay. Basically right now, to kind of first to curtail what the CDC has been saying and what the NIH is saying, and infectious disease centers, and washing your hands is still the #1 thing you can do for self-hygiene. Or sanitation. Social distancing, which is at a minimum of 6 feet. The debate is, there's no debate, there just seems to be 6 or 10 feet. But basically 2 meters is what's needed in between each person if you're going to be out. Self-isolation or stay at home. When you don't need to be out, don't be out. So these are the things that we know we need to do. What's the debate right now is whether or not we all need to be wearing masks when we're out in public. I just saw a recent public service announcement from one of the institutions or somebody in Czech Republic, and it was really, really well done. About Czech Republic is seeing the lowest numbers of infected. Not meaning they're not hit by coronavirus, they definitely are, but they are flattening the curve far better than most other countries. And they're doing everything. They're sticking to a very, very high level of sanitation, including washing hands is the biggest one. They're social distancing when they're out in public. They're staying at home. They're sheltering in place when they don't need to be out. They're only out for essential services. And when they are out, there is a mandated must wear a mask in order to be out in public. And the reason they wear the mask, and this is where they're very clear, this is where they're very good at explaining this, is when someone wears a mask, they are not wearing the mask to protect themselves. They are wearing the mask to protect other people. When somebody who is infected with anything, really, but COVID-19 or if they have COVID-19 or if they're infected with coronavirus, if they cough, if they sneeze, or even in like in the New England Journal of Medicine that was posted on the 17th, that it's possible that some of this is aerosolized, so it's not droplets, but it's even smaller particles. The mask will prevent much of that from moving forward, from moving out into the environment. So when I wear a mask and you wear a mask, the idea there is I'm protecting you and you are protecting me. And if we all do that, then we're protecting each other. It's a very compelling argument. The counter arguments to wearing masks are as follows. One, people who wear masks have a tendency to become complacent and they won't wash their hands as much and they won't observe social distancing as much. All three are needed. You have to, and then sheltering in place, making sure you don't just start feeling okay to leave whenever you want to leave. You still need to be at home or in your domicile or wherever you live. And you need to observe social distancing when you're out. And you need to be washing your hands almost obsessively. And you can be wearing a mask. That is as clear as I think as I can make it. There are lots of debates about it right now, but the real arguments, the ones that have validity against wearing masks, have more to do with, one, they don't want to run out of masks for healthcare workers. So if everyone starts wearing masks, they're going to start buying masks. And buying the masks does put a strain on our already strained healthcare system. Number two is people will become complacent. And if people start becoming complacent, we will see increased levels of infection. So those are the two really, really valid arguments. And the counter to that is, one, make your own mask. It's not perfect, but it works well. Two, wear them when you're out. I think I've kind of beaten that horse. What do you think?
I think that's good. One of the things that one of the frontline doctors was talking about is, in their mind, there's no question, this is aerosol. This is not just droplets anymore. So if somebody in aisle 12 in Target coughs or sneezes, and they may not show symptoms yet, but they may be carrying, it's in the air. In 10 minutes, you're going down the same aisle, didn't know that they were there, didn't know that they were coughing or sneezing, and you don't have a mask on, and you're breathing this in at this point.
I want to say too, in
the
a study,
this can last up to 3 hours in the air.
In the study that was done, they did it at 65% humidity when they aerosolized it, and it lingered for about 33 or 34 minutes.
Right.
Most places like homes tend to be between 40 and 50% humidity. And I didn't actually even think of this, but different humidities have a different lag time. So in your home or in a store that has a lower humidity, it lingers longer. And that's where you can get up to 3 hours in the air. So at a mid-level humidity, like 65%, it'll drop to the floor within 35 minutes, let's say. But in stores or buildings or areas that have a lower humidity, it will linger in that air longer. It won't be pulled down to the ground nearly as fast. So yes, the aerosol is a concern.
Right. So it appears that the mask is very important for all of us, and just wear them properly. The Surgeon General was saying, well, people could make it worse by wearing the mask incorrectly, by touching, by spreading it and breathing it in. Just wear them properly, okay? And be mindful of washing your hands a lot, more than you think you need to. Be washing your hands at least 20 seconds. So here's a really good example. A good friend of ours who's in the industry of making disinfectants has studied this for a long time, and he says the idea with disinfecting your hands, why 20 to 30 seconds, is picture the virus like an egg. You got the egg yolk in the center, you got the egg white. By washing your hands for 20 seconds or longer, you're breaking down the egg white around the nucleus, if you will. And that definitely impedes the virus, okay? If it doesn't kill it, it certainly starts to starve it. So that was a good descriptive for me to find that, okay, that's why I need to be doing this for over 20 seconds. Make sure you're teaching your children that too. So 20 seconds or longer.
That's the minimum.
Your hands. Okay.
That would be the minimum time. The other is, didn't he talk about letting things stay wet for 4 minutes?
That's a really good one too. This is a product that they use a lot. This is industrial grade. So this very good friend who does this kind of work, they go in and disinfect hospitals and schools and institutions like this. And they have to keep retraining the staff because what they're doing is they're mopping it on the floor and then they're taking it right off again. You have to leave this stuff out there for 4 to 10 minutes. A good disinfectant, okay? Even though on this bottle it says that it does kill SARS and MRSA and 30-second kill, he still recommends leaving it on there, spraying it on there when you're disinfecting counters or tables or whatever. Leave it on there and let it air dry. Do not wipe it back off again. So we're starting to see more and more of this backed by other people like the CDC, that when they're saying make your own disinfectant, 1/3 cup of bleach, 1 gallon of water, spray it on the surface, leave it. So yes, there is a time thing that's very important with disinfecting and killing, the virus. So anything else to add to that, Dr. B?
No, I think we went over hand washing, we went over social distancing, we went over shelter in place, we went over wearing masks, we went over how to disinfect the everyday things. We were talking about trash cans. Don't just grab your trash can. We're talking about mail. We're talking about cardboard boxes. We're talking about groceries. How long do we soak fruits and vegetables? What do we soak?
Good 10 minutes. When the food comes into the house, fill your sink. In the old days, we used to wash dishes in the sink. Fill the sink with hot water and soap. Put your vegetables in there, your fruits in there. I put broccoli in there thinking, is it going to taste soapy? Well, I just took a long time, rinsed it well, but everything goes in there for a good 10 minutes. Okay, so that's how we want to cleanse our food at this point.
Essentially, you're applying the 20-second rule of hand washing to soaking your vegetables and fruits.
10 minutes.
Well, 10 minutes, but basically you're applying that idea of longer is better.
Right. Right. So the last thing is going to be clothing. People on the front line. We have talked to docs that do this. If they come into their garage, they take off all their clothes that they were wearing at work, and this could be people working in a pub, at Publix or a liquor store or wherever. Come in through the garage, take your shoes off, don't bring your shoes in the house. Take your outer clothing off, leave it out of the house. Go take a shower immediately. Protect everybody in the house. Do not bring any of this into the house with you. You don't know if you're bringing any of it in or not. So again, the clothing part, do it through the garage. Don't do it outside. Your neighbors may chuckle. So make sure you may want to do this in the garage. All right, I think that covers it on the safe procedures for the viruses. But what we would like to pick up now, Dr. Andrew Weil, some of you may know his name. He has several degrees from Harvard, been around a long time. So he has a degree in botany and a degree in medicine, and heads up the medical school in Arizona. And he has a wonderful website. So I've been reading him for a long time, and what he was saying that, the use of supplements, using food as medicine is always a good idea. And one of the things that we have been promoting a lot has been the vitamin D3.
Trader Joe's, you're welcome for the plug there, by the way.
What's that?
Trader Joe's, you're welcome for the plug on that one.
But you want to do the vitamin D3. And if you're asymptomatic, continue doing that. And if you use echinacea, if you're into using herbs, continue doing that. If you show any signs at all, what he is saying is stop using vitamin D3, stop using echinacea, because they do promote an immune response, but part of the immune response is an inflammatory process, and it will engage in that. So you don't want to create more inflammation by taking these two supplements. What he is recommending is, this is going to be a plug for Standard Process now, is we are using, the zinc, and he does recommend make sure you're using at least 20 milligrams of zinc daily. because the zinc will help the immune response, but will not affect the inflammatory response. So I think that's an important thing to be thinking about. Now, Dr. Brendan and I are both sensitive to pollen, especially this year. This may be a record-breaking year in Atlanta. And going outside, boy, it's like itchy eyes, ears, nose, throat, sinuses. And one of the things that Dr. Brendan came up with years ago from one of the companies, it's an herbal antihistamine. We do carry these in the clinic, and it's very effective. I can't do over-the-counter drug ones. It just messes me up. But the herbal one, I can respond very well to. So how do you distinguish between, am I having an allergic reaction to pollen, or am I having a reaction to a virus? And the CDC made that clear 2 weeks ago. Itchy eyes, ears, nose, throat, sinuses, coughing from all of that. Pollen, allergies.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the ER for that. So handle it properly. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and certainly good nutrition, folks. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, and lots of vegetables and fruit. Everybody from Harvard to Dr. Andrew Weil, everybody's talking about eat more vegetables in order to keep your system nice and healthy. Drink lots of clean water. That's another thing right there. Dr. B, anything on that?
I pulled, you were looking at Andrew Weil, so I went a little further into the fringe, and I pulled a couple of two different, very differing practitioners. One is I pulled from Ben Greenfield, who is in the biohacker movement. And biohacking is sort of it's a group of people who live very well. They try to live as healthy as possible, but they're always trying to experiment on that last 1%. They're always doing those little extra things. So some are very silly, some are very, very high tech, some are really low tech. But Ben Greenfield had a great email recently that talked about improving, from the biohacker standpoint, some of the immune function. And his 3 things were shaking to improve lymphatic flow. And he said, this is a Tai Chi exercise that you literally you bounce as you breathe, and it begins to engage lymphatic flow. There's a lot of, or not a lot, but there's some good research about rebounders really helping lymphatic activity. So it's in that same vein. And what he commented on was, he said, rebounding, vibe plates, swimming, and yoga all have a similar effect on increasing lymphatic flow. And the lymphatic system is the waste disposal system of the body. So the better it flows, the better it's removing those waste byproducts out of the cells and dumping them into the areas that expel them. The healthier you are, you have a better chance of having a better immune response. The second was he really wanted to promote antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral foods. And those were in the vein of like coconut oil, garlic, chia seeds, oregano products. Also plants rich in fiber and fermented foods, things that help the gut lining, things that help the microbiome in the intestines, because what has been shown is that the immune system starts, or it doesn't necessarily start there, but there's a very distinct and positive immune response that happens in the gut flora. They begin to stimulate immune responses, and if they're healthier, if the microbiome is healthier, then systemically you'll have a more robust immune response. And then third, he went into immune boosting supplements. Now, he talked about taking colostrum, and I don't really have a great source for colostrum, but as I was reading about it, bone broth has a very similar reaction to what he's talking about.
Good.
He's really getting into how you can really kind of plug up some of the holes if you're suffering some leaky gut, which a lot of people may not know it, but bone broth is a great way to sort of patch those holes. It also is filled with, we were at a seminar last year, at the end of last year, and they talked about bone broth is essentially nature's multivitamin. You get more vitamins, more minerals, and more macros in bone broth than any other one source. And it's also really, really bioavailable. So when you consume bone broth, it really gets into the system, and it helps joints, helps muscles, helps the gut lining, and then probably a bunch of other things it's helping that there may or may not be good research on. But even if it's anecdotal, even if it's person by person by person, it's worth trying some of these things and seeing if they work for you.
Right.
I also looked at David Jockers, who is a local chiropractor and does a lot of stuff in the health field, especially with nutrition. He's a big keto guy. Does a lot with like sleep and different issues. And he had a list of 8 things to really kind of start working into the diet. Again, it's more anecdotal, but there's some good enough, it's good enough research on each of these that it was willing to put these out. One is lemons and limes, bone broth, garlic and onions, apple cider vinegar, olive oil, ginger, and mushrooms. So, and so that was his list of the 8 things to try and help with immune boosting.
Good. I'm going to add one more thing to that. I'm going to jump right onto what you were saying about the gut and how important it is. And so the alimentary canal from the mouth all the way to the other end, 80%, as we've learned, 80% of our immune tissue resides where?
Right around the gut.
In and around the gut, 80% of our immune tissue. So if we want to have a stronger immune system and response, we have got to have a healthy gut. Yeah. So one of the things we've been learning over the past couple of years is how fermented food can really help with that. And then bone broth gets thrown right into that category, just in terms of, taking the chicken, the whole chicken, the carcass, put it in there, cook it overnight, 25 hours, and soften up the bones, get some of those nutrients out, get the gelatin out, the collagen, all of this. So if you really want to take care of your gut, and if there was only one thing I had to tell you, although it's going to be all these things, absolutely start doing some of the chicken bone broth. Yeah. And there are some companies out there that do a very good job with that. So make it yourself, okay, and start getting in several times a week. Start really taking care of the gut and take care of your health at that point. So really good point on that. All right, on that, the other is going to be exercise. I'm not getting enough. The pollen outside, I'm not walking the dog as much. So I'm having to hit what equipment we have here in the house. Bosu ball, the elastic bands, the kettlebell. But we've got to, if we can get out, I put a mask on, I go outside, I walk for at least 25 minutes. 25 minutes to get the endorphins going, which are certainly for good mental health and physical health. So we need exercise, and you need at least 25 minutes. So keep that in mind. We are making available, and Dr. B will give you the info on this, and we're making available some of the stretching handouts that we have been given to patients right along. He's updated these, so some of these are a little more comprehensive for those of us that are not in pain, but just want to do more stretching. So we're going to make that available. The last thing we're going to make available, Carolyn, who works for us, does chair yoga with some senior citizens. So for people that can't get on the floor, we're going to make available a video of Carolyn teaching chair yoga. So that will be made available very soon. And we'll keep you posted. We'll do an e-blast out to all of our patients and let you know when that's available. Okay. Dr. B, what you got?
I will say this, like this last week, I've actually worked out more than I have all year. So I'm not having the problem that I'm working out too little. I'm actually, and what I've been doing is me and Brian Barry, who we used to co-own Linked Athletics, we're basically doing a sort of Zoom chat or a FaceTime video while we're working out. And that is one of my pieces of advice. If you have a gym buddy or if you have a workout partner and it's not somebody you're living with, right now, utilizing all these forums.
Great idea.
Zoom has a 40-minute limit to 3 or more people. So you could quite literally get a good, like a 30 to 40-minute workout with multiple people if you want to bring your computer or your tablet and just, use the camera and go through the workouts. But it's been, so I've actually been working out more. And that's why is that Brian has been holding me accountable and I've been holding him accountable, and we're getting the workouts in. This week we did 3 times a week. Next week we're going to do 4. The week after we're going to try for 5 days a week. This is the most I've done all year. This is great. So I just want to share that's how I've been utilizing it. And everybody who's maybe getting this far in the video, that may be one way you can help yourself as well. Just stay motivated and stay accountable and have a little fun. Mm-hmm. Use technology.
All right. Well, all of you be well. We'll be doing this again, and we'll let you know when the next one is coming out. But we also are going to be doing a Zoom platform where it's going to be live. We're going to do a healthcare class as if we were in the same room together, so we can get some feedback. We can be sharing information because our patients bring in wonderful information when we do these once a month healthcare classes that take about an hour, usually on Tuesday night. And they add to it every bit as much as Dr. B and I do. So we are going to do a live Zoom chat, and we'll let you know what day that's going to be. Okay. All right, Dr. B, with that said, I'd say we're good.
Okay, stopping recording. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy.